Mitsubishi Outlander GF3. It just so happened that the engine line, although modernized, did not receive anything dangerous in the form of turbocharging, and the 3 restylings carried out, at least, did not spoil anything. On the contrary, many weaknesses have been eliminated. There are no amateurs in Mitsubishi, they know how to build engines. The MIVEC 2.0 and 2.4 units are ready to plow more than 100,000 kilometers, albeit with a modest appetite, but without disgust, swallowing 90-second gasoline from not the most famous gas stations. Yes, the catalyst in the range from 100 to 150 TkM is likely to go to the trash. There will be piston knocks, like on the related Hyundai G4 KD. Valve clearances for the first 100,000 kilometers must be adjusted. And that's it. Problems of a catastrophic nature in the first 300 TkM are practically excluded if you act within reason. There are no external differences between the 2.0 and 2.4 engines, even the blocks are the same. The volume is different only due to differences in the design of the crankshaft, connecting rods, and pistons. The 3-liter V-shaped 6B31 engine, in addition to impressive dynamics, can give years of carefree use, as it has practically no pronounced weaknesses, with the exception of the already familiar increased demands on oil quality. Do not forget that, unlike junior installations, the timing belt uses a belt here, the breakage of which inevitably ends with a sad stick. There are no more problems with turning the liners than the XL send with the V6 MIVEC, so fans of the more dynamic version can exhale. Here are just a few cars with this engine bought. Initially it was expensive. Plus, instead of a CVT, a traditional automatic is installed here, which means that in the used market you will have to hunt for such a version. There are many of you who want to get a trouble-free car. Yes and no. Here you have to clarify when and what was installed here. From the very beginning of production, the Mitsubishi Outlander 3 used the massive JF011E variator, known to everyone from many other cars on the world market as an automatic transmission. Relatively reliable, but, as we know, the same unit can behave differently on different machines. There are many factors. And the mass is different, and the settings, and the target audience. Outlander 3 was completely deprived of a remote radiator of the cooling system, which is why the owners had to install it themselves. Otherwise, it does not give rest, it overheats. Especially at high speeds on the track and during long forays into the forest. There are no problems in the city. Due to too frequent overheating, the oil would have to be changed more often, but no one warned by the regulations, and the very reliable CVT on the Outlander itself proved to be worse than on other models. The valves of the valve body are clogged, the cone bearings fail, in advanced cases, scuffs appear on the cones, the belt wears out. The benefit of maintainability allows you to eliminate everything without a complete replacement relatively inexpensively. In 2014, the radiator was returned back, and the problem of overheating went into oblivion, and the average resource of a continuously variable gearbox increased by 50%. With the first restyling in 2015, the new generation Jatco variator JF016E entered the transmission line. Although the iron, in fact, differs little from its predecessor, the behavioral factors have changed for the better, and tangibly, or, as one of the owners of the updated Outlander says, heaven and earth. The resource has practically not changed, although when disassembling the valve body, it becomes clear that the box was only beautifully set up, and the filling was reduced in price as much as possible. Manufacturers don't care about reliability. For the 3-liter Outlander, it seems that there was no suitable variator, so Mitsubishi had to use the old, proven and therefore hassle-free hydromechanical automatic Jatco JF613. Here it is reliable, and there is nothing to say. You know, probably the rest of the transmission of the Mitsubishi Outlander 3 is the strongest. Considering what gears and bearings have to work with from the very beginning and not break, we can say that there are no weak points at all. As the owners of the Outlander 3 noticed, the manufacturer made it a rule to underfill the gearboxes with oil, which many learn with horror when trying to change the lubricant. All this could be blamed on chronic incontinence of the Rizdaka seals and the rear axle, but some knowledgeable owners change fluids almost immediately after buying a car from the passenger compartment, and the picture, even in this case, is absolutely identical. The oil is black, with chips, and it is clearly less than the level. It is not necessary to scold strongly for the shortcomings of the chassis. Not fluffy for sure. In general, with the collection of statistics of suspension breakdowns, everything is difficult. As it turned out, even a serviceable chassis can work louder than expected from it. Perhaps the matter is in soundproofing, or rather, in its absence. However, many complaints are by no means unfounded. For example, on pre-styling cars, hub bearings really went into another world, one after another, even up to 100 TkM. Otherwise, nothing special. The silent blocks of the levers also quietly do the work of 250 TkM, but not the stabilizer rubber bands up to 100,000 kilometers. Everything will most likely have to be updated, and together with the rods. The average life of shock absorbers is also about 100 TkM. There are practically no problems with ball joints. The rear multi-link will not require repair, at least while the variator is working, or even more. So at once all the problems do not get enough sleep. Drive 250 TkM of silent blocks of levers, just spit. Even if the rear part decently sags down, then know that the matter is most likely in the springs. The steering will also not take long to heal. The first knocks in the steering crown, when the steering wheel is swaying from side to side, can be safely blamed on the Euro mechanism. This is its normal operation. Be sure to check your vehicle for ongoing recall campaigns. It may be possible to replace the rear calipers and the handbrake mechanism at the dealer for free, which over time can begin to wedge and, therefore, eat gasoline, brake discs, pads, and generally create a risk of overheating such a critical unit. Don't over-tighten. For the electrical part of the Outlander 3 will make you worry. More precisely, the weak and not the cheapest place here is the comfort module, also known as the ETAX control unit. The ECU cannot be repaired at all, only a replacement. The most common symptom of its imminent breakdown is inadequate lighting or engine cooling fans. Did these systems take on a life of their own? Get your money ready. Upon exiting the warranty, only the melted connector under the driver's seat is changed for free, since a large-scale recall campaign has been launched for its soul. It rusts pretty fast too. It is better to tint any chips and scratches immediately, otherwise the affected area will give rise to a saffron milk cap. This is especially well seen on the bottom, sills and muffler of 3 to 4 year old Outlanders that have not undergone additional processing. The thickness of the paintwork is normal, about 100 microns, but, judging by the rapidly spreading scratches and abrasions, the coating is weak and does not stay on the body very well. Even the place of contact with the door seals on the racks is losing weight right before our eyes. When looking for a used Outlander 3, you will notice that they are divided into two types: cars with a crack in the windshield and cars with an already changed windshield. Everything, as with the third Ford Focus. Few people manage to keep such a fragile creature in its virgin form. Some Chinese substitutes, for example, XYG and Benson, are as stronger than the original as they are cheaper, and they hold the blow and do not let the band go when the windshield heating is turned on. Unfortunately, yes. But we are only talking about specific things. For example, the plastic of the panel and door trim is easily and quickly covered with a scattering of scratches. It is better not to touch it at all, and even more so not to disassemble the center console once again. The sides of the driver's seat are also pressed through. The steering wheel is overwritten so that by 100 km the interior will still be comfortable, but nothing more. In addition, there are few pedants among the owners of the Mitsubishi Outlander 3. I must have confused you in the end. Say, he scolds Outlander 3, then praises, as if he had not decided. Indeed, the model left conflicting impressions: good engines, but an unreliable transmission, an acceptable interior, but not the most resistant body, a strong suspension, but noisy. Therefore, I would like to clarify which options I, as an auto selector, like and which do not. Definitely, you cannot be afraid and buy a 3-liter version on the machine. This is without a doubt. Just change the transmission oil and go. It is advisable to abandon restyled cars on a variator that have passed more than 150 TKM, or immediately lay a budget for a possible quick repair of the VPP. It is also dangerous to take cars with an already repaired unit. Mileage up to 100 TKM is not prohibitive, you can take it relatively calmly. However, it is impossible to identify the residual resource of the variator using the in-place method, and it remains to hope that the car was not driven along the autobahns. The mileage, in addition to the dashboard, is not recorded anywhere else, and it will not be possible to identify the originality of the mileage using computer methods. You will only have to rely on the oil aging counter in the transmission, which is easily and inexpensively reset. Before you start looking for a used Mitsubishi Outlander 3, you need to determine for yourself the versions that you are ready to accept with all your weaknesses, and which are not. In general, it is useless to consider this model. Someone took a car with automatic transmission or with a normally cooled variator, skated 250 TKM on it without any problems, and said, reliably. But for someone, the Outlander, with its scattering of factory flaws and design miscalculations, seemed too fragile, not like the Mitsubishi that everyone remembers it, and the conclusion for such lucky ones suggests one thing: hopeless.